the shadowed hollows of forgotten America, where the mountains stand as silent sentinels over secrets too dark for the light of day, there exists a tale whispered only in hushed tones, a story so profoundly disturbing that it was deliberately erased from the annals of history, buried beneath layers of shame and denial. This is not merely a narrative of forbidden love or tragic circumstance. It is the chilling account of a bloodline twisted beyond recognition, a lineage so profoundly inbred that it defied the very laws of nature and society, culminating in a man whose existence was a living testament to the unspeakable. His name, now almost lost to time, was Jacob Elbridge. His story is a stark, unsettling journey into the heart of human obsession, isolation, and the terrifying consequences of a family's desperate attempt to preserve itself, no matter the cost. It begins, as many such tales do, in the remote, rugged terrain of western Appalachia, a region often romanticized for its untouched beauty, but equally notorious for its insular communities and the dark legends that fester within their secluded valleys. By the time he reached the age of 15, he was a towering figure, 6 feet tall, his skin unnaturally pale, a spectral presence who never ventured into town. It was Sarah who continued to make the infrequent journeys, and on one such occasion, she brought with her a peculiar gift, a small, handmade ring, meticulously carved from the very wood of the ancient trees that encircled their isolated homestead. Sarah finishes the ring and presents it to Jacob. He takes it without a word, his eyes fixed on hers. The camera focuses on the inscription, "To my life from your birth." It was not a gift from a mother to her son. It was a declaration, a chilling testament from a wife to her husband. The 1890 census, a seemingly innocuous document designed to record the nation's populace, offers a fractured glimpse into the Elbridge household. Jacob Elbridge is listed as the head of the household, age 21. But the records here become unsettlingly sparse. There is no wife recorded, no siblings, no boarders, just Jacob. And one other woman, listed only as S. Elbridge, aged 52. Her relationship to Jacob, unknown. That was the year Jacob and Sarah began constructing what would become known to the terrified locals as the house with no rooms. It was not a traditional home. It was a nightmarish labyrinth, a sprawling, seven-structure complex connected by narrow, winding corridors, designed not for comfort, but for confusion. Dr. Walter Griggs, a local physician known for his skepticism and his commitment to scientific reason, received a summons to the Elbridge property. What he witnessed that night would haunt him until his dying breath. Dr. Griggs descends into a root cellar, which has been transformed into a crude chapel. On a bed in the center of the room lies the skeletal remains of a woman, veiled in lace. Above her, the words, "The bride returns when the sun is ready," are painted in what appears to be dried blood. What the town, in its willful ignorance, failed to comprehend was that by the time Dr. Griggs entered that house, Sarah Elbridge had been dead for over a year. But Jacob, in his profound and twisted devotion, had never buried her. Instead, he had preserved her, maintained her, keeping her body in a sacred space beneath the ground, continuing to refer to her in his writings and conversations as both his mother and his spouse. But in 1898, something changed. A fire. Its origins remain unknown, lost to the inferno it unleashed, but it moved with an unnatural speed, too fast for the notoriously damp soil of the Appalachian summer. By the time the few brave neighbors arrived, the house was gone, reduced to a smoldering ruin. The womb, as it was mockingly called, had become a grave. What they found in the charred remains shocked even the most hardened skeptics. 3 bodies. The first was easily identified as Jacob, his spine severely twisted, his arms crossed over his chest, his teeth filed down to sharp, predatory points. Around his neck, a rotting cord of braided hair, Sarah's hair. The second was Sarah herself, still in the same macabre pose on the chapel bed beneath the house, her skin treated with some unknown resin, her eyes covered with small white stones. One hand rested on a Bible, the other clutched a lock of Jacob's hair. But the third body, charred, malformed, and significantly smaller, was unaccounted for. It appeared to be a child, yet with the proportions of an adult, its face severely disfigured, as if the bone structure had collapsed in on itself, and its fingers, 6 on each hand. The implication was horrifying. Jacob had fathered a child with his mother, and that child had lived and died, possibly in that very fire. Months later, a new name appeared in the church registry. E. Jacobson, age 7, orphan, adopted. The name seemed innocuous enough. Just another orphan in a town that preferred not to ask questions. He was taken in by Reverend Clean, a man known for his charity, but equally for his unfortunate luck with children. But strange things began happening almost immediately. E. Jacobson refused to sleep indoors, insisting on constructing a small shelter behind the church, fashioned from branches, roots, and discarded cloth. When questioned, he claimed the church walls crushed the voices. When asked what voices, he would reply simply, "The ones that sing her name." He never spoke of his parents, never inquired about their fate, but he did carve a small wooden object, a ring identical to the one Sarah Elbridge had given Jacob decades prior, and he wore it constantly, a silent, unsettling testament to his hidden lineage. Reverend Clean, a man of God, frantically writes in a journal. His entries become increasingly desperate. He doesn't age. His face changes subtly. I swear he smiles like an old man. Sometimes I hear 2 voices when he speaks, one high, one low. He keeps calling me father, but with a tone that chills me, like I am less than him, like I am the child. One night, during a particularly violent thunderstorm, Clean wakes to find E. Jacobson standing over his bed, soaking wet, a chilling smile on his face. In his hand, a burned piece of paper with smeared ink. The only legible words, "The bride returns when the sun is ready." That was the last night E. Jacobson was seen in public. Clean's home burned to the ground 3 days later, his body found in the cellar, positioned exactly like Sarah Elbridge had been, eyes covered, hands folded, mouth stitched shut. The boy was gone. No footprints, no witnesses, just one final journal entry, scratched into the wall of the shelter behind the church. She came back, not as before, but as fire, and she took me in her arms. Decades passed. The Elbridge name, a stain on the collective memory, faded from public consciousness, deliberately forgotten. Locals began referring to that ridge as the burned place, a name their children learned not to ask about, a silent acknowledgement of the unspeakable. And the church records where
Subscribe to my channel.
Jacobson had been written were mysteriously lost in a flood in 1911, another deliberate erasure, another attempt to bury the truth. But trauma, even when buried, has a way of blooming underground, its roots reaching into the darkest corners of the human psyche. In 1934, a government surveyor named Louis Penn, a man known for his meticulousness and his almost obsessive dedication to his work, was dispatched to document old land titles for a rural electrification project. He wanted to map everything, every stone wall, every broken fence, every forgotten boundary. And that's how he found it. At the top of a ridge, long overgrown and reclaimed by the relentless embrace of nature, was a well. Or at least, that's what it appeared to be.